Omega Delta Pi, 50 years of friendship. This is where it started. Harris Teachers College at Park and Teresa in South St. Louis. Probably the furthest south any of us had ever gone until then. It was in the fall of '39 when the new semester began. The social activities at Harris revolved around sorority life. They were having rush week then, and they were meeting the new freshmen. A note from Lil Nathanson recalls,
I remember that week. One of the girls came up to me and asked if I was Jewish. I said yes. She says, oh, that's too bad.
Because of this discrimination, a few of the girls took action. Gert Blumenau remembers it this way.
We met with faculty members, Miss Estelle Windhorst, and the Dean of Women, Miss Cornelia Broussard, at Wortman's drugstore, off campus, on the corner of Grandin Park. As I remember it, it was while we were having a Coke. We discussed the idea of starting a Jewish sorority, and both of these faculty members agreed to help us get started.
Beverly Simon, a freshman that year, remembers it this way.
I was sitting in one of the portable classrooms, and somebody ran in and said, "We just heard you're Jewish, and we're starting a Jewish sorority. We're going to sign the charter now, so make up your mind real fast." Oh, golly, I thought, that's great. I ran out and signed the charter right away before the deadline. That's how I became an Omega.
The charter members were Harriet Burkhoff, Ruth Lebman, Lillian Nathanson, Gertrude Savanowski, Lila Funk, Rosalind Mayerson, better known as Muffy, Beverly Simon, and Fran Hanlon. Gert Blumenau was our first president, and that's how it all began. By 1942, we added 4 new members. Harriet Burkhoff remembers a hell night when the new pledges were rushed.
We took the girls dressed in men's union suits to Union Station. They had to scrub the floors with a toothbrush. Another time, with the eyes blindfolded, we fed them live goldfish, but they were really sardines. Then we had them eat live worms, they thought, but the worms were really wet spaghetti noodles.
But those were the war years. Lillian Nathanson recalls,
I remember vividly December 7th, 1941. Our small group met at the home of our sponsor, Cecilia Fine, in the Psalm Apartments on South Grand. We were making dinner. We heard about the bombing of Pearl Harbor over the radio. Gertrude Savanowski's brother was stationed there, and she became hysterical. We had to take her home, via bus and a streetcar. That was the end of our dinner.
Charlotte Smith remembers Harris well in those days.
When I think about my college days, I remember how poor I was. I used to work on Saturdays, made about $3 a day. It was enough to clothe myself. The girls at Harris used to dress miserably, I thought, until they opened the junior college and boys were allowed to attend. What a difference that made.
Speaking of poor, by 1943, Omega showed 36 cents balance in their treasury. Let our Omega alum's career treasurer, Ethel Darish, tell you.
Omega never had a big treasury, but we kept busy socially and even managed some charitable projects. In 1945, we had $16.75. Notice the expenditure of 9 cents for stamps?
Here is a copy of the Collegian, which cited Omega as leading in ticket sales for a charity drive that year. Speaking of the Collegian, did you know that it was named by Gert Blumenau, Omega's first president?
The alums were busy, but the Omega active chapter was also growing. We see in the 1945 yearbook the appearance of Miss Mildred Baker Bush, our new faculty sponsor.
This is Fran Hyman. I was Grossman then. When I became president, I was called into Dean Brossard's office. She asked me to identify the Jewish girls among the freshmen. I really can't do that, I told Miss Brossard. How could I tell just by the name? Anyway, they paid their dollar to be rushed just like everyone else, and they should be invited to all the rush parties too.
Mother's Day was celebrated by active and alums throughout the years. 1946 found us at the DeSoto Hotel, where we enjoyed an original program entitled Women Through the Ages. Recognize anybody here?
Here are more memories of Mother's Day celebrations through past years. By 1979, our mothers and daughters' affairs took a slightly different direction. By then, most of us were mothers, and our daughters became our guests. There might have been a daughter-in-law in there too somewhere.
Here are the Omegas in 1947. Didn't we look attractive in our suits? Who is that man in the back row? Omega's on stage here. Anyone remember this performance?
The class of 48. Time would show that many Omegas switched from the junior college to the teacher's college in order to get a bachelor's degree in education. Could it be also that they had so much fun in Omega, they didn't want to leave?
Here we are, actives and alums, at our jointly planned blue and white prom, which was held at the Melbourne Hotel, May of '46. The cost was $5 per person. Can you believe it? We crowned Buddy Spentner our king for the night. White Proms continued as an annual joint event, and the Melbourne Hotel is once again the scene of our 47 prom when Buddy Rosen became Omega's king for a night. He is shown here escorted by Miss Bush and Mrs. Lois Lindell, the wife of Dr. Al Lindell, our faculty patron. The royal coronation is seen. And here's some Omegas in their finest.
By 1948, we are getting fancy, and our proms take us to the Meadowbrook Country Club. One of the faculty members told us that we were the only sorority or fraternity at Harris that had a prom and did not serve liquor. But look at the fun we had without it.
Here we see Alan Gale, as he is crowned our king for the night. This must have been a practice run for his wedding with Rosalie Garfinkel, which took place in December 1948. Rosalie became the first student at Harris to get married and remain at Harris. She had to get permission from the superintendent of schools.
Rosalie recalls that Dr. Hickey asked if she could guarantee that she would not become pregnant. Rosalie said that she couldn't do that. Can you imagine? That's what it was like in 1948. However, in 1953, here she is with other Omegas, expanding the population.
Our king in 1949 was Dave Dorman.
Omegas at the prom.
Here are the dignitaries of Omega in that year. Alongside our officers are Mr. and Mrs. Joe Silverstein, our patrons, Miss Bush, our sponsor, sitting between the two Silverstein girls, Marion Zuckerman, president, Mrs. Del Windhorse, Mrs. Lindell with her husband Al standing behind her, and Mr. and Mrs. Ken Pollock.
The sociability of Omega Delta Pi was so infectious that our mothers formed their own group in 1948, and Audrey Pollock's mother, Lil, was the first president of the Mothers Club.
Here's our 1950 prom, with Jerry Cohn being crowned king. And the Omegas themselves, in their finest.
In 1948, the Omegas were walking just a little taller at Harris. We had won second prize 2 years in a row at the Homecoming Song Fest. We sang 3 original tunes, Deep in Our Hearts with music by Myrna Lee Silverstein, lyrics by Marian Zuckerman and Frida Friedman, a song we called Cleo, and the third, the Omega Toast.
Here, Marilyn Handelman is receiving our award plaque. No doubt our attractive sorority sweaters with blue and white lettering helped us win that second year.
Omega Pledge class brought us these girls. They seemed to be enjoying lots of fun, picnics on the rocks, and they even had fun at school. The Omegas of 1950 and 51. They too were having a picnic, it seems, at Rockwood Reservation, and I see Dr. Lindell is with them.
With so many Omegas walking down the aisle during 1951 and onward, we decided we needed our very own Bible. The first to carry it down the aisle was Frances Steinberg when she married Jerome Jerry Cohn. The last to use it was Helene Kohner when she and Don Levitan were married in 1957.
In 1949, Harris Teachers College moved to the former Blewett High School building. But the biggest change was the merging in 1954 of Harris with Stowe Teachers College, formerly a college for blacks only.